Welcome. This is A Course of Love book group written by Perron, first receiver. And this is an ongoing book group. If you are new to these readings, you could find all the previous readings from this entire year on YouTube. And it's under the name of Kimberly, 8th day, 8th day. Kimberly, 8th day. You'll see all the A Course of Love book readings, some with a group with us, and some where I'm just here reading. Either way, one thing is I warmly encourage, if you can, and if you feel comfortable with this, close eyes to deeply go within and feel how each word, each sentence, every question is making you feel like really be bathed in these feelings, to allow these feelings a chance to be felt. Maybe they've never been felt, or maybe you're just learning how to feel them. Just allow all feelings that come up. And if you need to stop the tape and let it express itself in, a non-judgmental way toward yourself, and without hurting yourself or anyone else, to just allow it to have your voice, or to allow it to move through your body. This is a very important part of life, but also a very important part of, in particular, this book. So I just wanted to share that. And then we're on chapter 5 tonight. So I'll begin the reading for chapter 5. So make yourself comfortable, unless you're driving. And then close eyes if you can, and if you feel comfortable with that, and just hear every word and feel it. Chapter 5, Original Purpose. Well, you have just been told that you now exist in a state of emptiness. This is not a state to be feared. Yet it is this fear of emptiness that has, in the past, made those who have experienced it rush to find the easiest and most available replacement, the ego, or that which has become familiar, if not known. While a few of you have ever before reached the emptiness caused by the complete absence of the ego, just as few of you have never felt some sort of absence. All the lessons you have drawn to yourself in your lifetime have worked toward this absence in the hopes of filling the emptiness with the fullness of truth. As with the gentle learning of this course, not all emptiness has come to you at the hands of suffering. Each time you have fallen in love, you have emptied a space for love to fill. Each time you have felt true devotion, you have emptied a space for love to fill. You have been emptied of the ego self as creative moments of inspiration filled you, and emptied of the ego self in moments of connection with God. Conversely, you have been emptied by the lessons of grief, as the loss of love has led to loss of self. You have been emptied by a loss of self due to illness or addiction, depression, or even physical exhaustion. All these things you have brought to yourself, for they have been the only way past the ego's guarded gate. You have tried to live in a house built on a faulty foundation, attempting to make do with what you have. All your time was spent in making repairs, and this time spent kept you too busy to see the light that was always visible through the cracked, impeding walls that you built. That you would eventually call to yourself a fire that would burn these walls to ash, or a flood that would wash them away, was as much a part of the survival mechanism of your real self, capital S, as was the rush to rebuild a part of the survival mechanism of the ego self. All this you have already tried to do. These lessons you have already tried to learn. This course has come so that these many things that you have tried need not be repeated. Just as the crucifixion came to end the need to learn through suffering and death. No, Remember, this is Christ Yeshua speaking to us in this book. The story that I lived was appropriate for the time in which I lived it, and has an appropriateness that continues even now. I walked the earth in order to reveal a God of love. The question of the time, a question still much in evidence, was how mighty could God's love be if it were given to a people who suffered? The answer was that God's love was so mighty that he would even allow the death of his only Son to redeem the world. The death of an only Son, then as now, would be seen as a sacrifice of enormous proportions, the greatest sacrifice of all. The point of the story, however, was not one of sacrifice, but one of gift giving. The greatest gift of all was given, the gift of redemption. The gift of redemption was the gift of an end to pain and suffering, and the beginning of resurrection and new life. It was a gift meant to empty the world of the ego self and to allow the personal self to live on as the one true self, capitalist, the one true Son of God. The gift of redemption was given once and for all. It is a gift of restoration to original purpose, without there having been an original purpose worthy of God's Son. The crucifixion would have ended life and form and returned the sons of men to the formless. Instead, the sons of men were freed to pursue their original purpose. This story has been repeated endlessly in time extending both forward and back. Each father's son will die. This means not what you have taken to mean. An endless series of generations passing. What this means is that in each, the ego will die and the self, capitalist, be reborn to life eternal. Without rebirth of the self, capitalist, the original purpose goes unfulfilled. Since God is original purpose, original cause, the origin of self, capitalist, and of relationship, original purpose cannot go unfulfilled. What this means is that the illusion will be no more and truth will reign. Such is the reign of God. So that ends chapter 5. Take a moment to allow all those feelings to settle. If you need to, you can stop the tape and give sound to anything that's coming up to give it a release. So I continue on. Chapter 6. The desire for reward. Can you give up your desire for reward? To give up your desire for reward is to give up a childish desire that has become like unto a plague among you. many of you see it not. Everything you do is based upon desire for reward. This is your desire to be given to in return for what you give. This stems from your idea of yourself as a child of God and a notion that would seem to suggest that the child is less than the parent. Although you see yourself as a child of your mother and father, this notion of yourself as child has not made you cling to a childish image of yourself as less than what your parents are. While you may still desire recognition and affirmation from them, this is not the same as the rewards you seek. Some of you from God, some from life, some from fate. No matter who it is you think is in charge of rewarding you, the attitude that causes you to desire reward is what must be done without. This may seem a step back from the lofty heights we have just traveled, discussing the reign of God in the meaning of life and death. But this is one of the key ideas that will keep you from yourself and has much to do with your former notions of God and your own self. It is an idea that has been transferred to all of life, much as the idea of an unlovable self was transferred into all areas of life without your realization. Reward is intricately tied to your notions of being good, performing deeds of merit, and taking care of or surviving the many details that seem to make it possible for you to live within your world. The idea of reward transfers to ideas related to comparison as well as lack of reward in one instance and reward given in another is the cause of much of the bitterness that exists within your hearts. While many of you who have read this far and learned this much may not be those whose bitterness is mighty and held tightly to themselves, bitterness must still be discussed. While bitterness remains, vengeance will remain. You have been shown that God is not a God of vengeance, but that you are still in the process of learning that yourself, capital S, is not vengeful. The ego has given you many reasons to be distrustful of yourself, capital S, beginning with the idea of your abandonment here. Since the ego is a chosen self and a learned self, there has always been just enough room within the ego's thought system to keep within you the idea of a self the ego is not. Thus, has the ego had itself to blame for everything, including your very existence. This blame is as old as time itself, in the cause of bitterness being able to exist even within your heart. While the untruth cannot exist with the truth, what I am calling here bitterness is all that you have forced through sheer strength of will to pierce the holiness of your hearts. Bitterness and the idea of vengeance go hand in hand. This is the idea of an eye for an eye, or the exact opposite of the idea of turning the other cheek. While this may seem like the very idea of evil, which I have denied the existence of, it is not evil, but bitterness. You may believe that bitterness is just another word, another label for the evil you have always been convinced existed in the hearts of some, but even being that it is just another word, it is one chosen to introduce an idea of such fallacy that it rivals only the ego in its destructive potential. Bitterness is to your heart what the ego has been to your mind. It is the one false idea that has entered this holiest of places, this abode of Christ, this bridge between the human and the divine. It exists not in some, but in all, as the ego has existed not in some, but in all. Like the ego, it has not caused you to be unlovable or unrecognizable, but it has become, like the ego, so much a part of your reality that it must, like the ego, be consciously left behind. Bitterness, as the word implies, is something taken into the self, much as the bitter herbs of Scripture illustrated. Many rites and rituals exist for the purification of the unclean, but I assure you that you are not unclean, and that none can cleanse bitterness from the heart without your choice. The time of tenderness began your release of bitterness and made you ready for this choice. Choose now to leave your desire for reward, as well as all of your reasons for bitterness, and bitterness itself behind. Bring bitterness no longer to the dwelling place of Christ, and we will seal the place of its entrance with the sweetness of love, so that bitterness will be no more. That ended chapter 6. These are two very big chapters, as are all the chapters in this book. The content is full. So feel it, rehear it if you choose, stop the tape to feel whatever works for you. And leave me comments for your experiences with leaving bitterness and leaving ego and leaving desire for reward, all the things that we've left behind. With each chapter going forward, we'll be lighter and lighter and lighter as we leave all this behind. So, thank you for joining me. I'm truly grateful. I'm so grateful for every soul who receives the gift of this book and the countless gifts therein. Thank you, and until next time, many blessings. Good night.